Hi YouTube, my name is Eve the Weave. Like, share, and subscribe. We're gonna continue from the video that we was watching with the Cuomo brothers from the other night. Being that my phone got cut off. Please like, share, and subscribe. I'm on the road to 1,000. So let's get right into it.
In government, they believed in the state government, they rallied together, they were community, they were together, it was beautiful.
You came on the show with a mask
no other state.
You remember that?
Well, that was to cover my nose. That was different. That was different.
That would have been a hell of a mask. You came on, you were making it, even when people were saying mask, oh, very controversial. So now you have the three states coming together, New Jersey, New York, Connecticut. There's been a lot of sharing of information and of responsibility. And now the move is making all these headlines, quarantine, the 8 states that you 3 governors believe are not doing what they need to do. You're not going to let them expose your states to risk. They're going to have a 14-day quarantine if they come to you. Now, why is that a good policy in light of the fact that when people were threatening to do that to you guys early on, you didn't like it. You thought it was wrong, and you said, I'm not going to close my borders.
Yeah, not to correct you on the facts, because it's your show and they're your facts, your opinion. But there are still facts. First, the federal government wanted to blockade New York, okay? Federal blockade hasn't been done since the Civil War. They were talking about closing bridges and tunnels and saying you cannot leave New York and you cannot enter New York. That was illegal, it was unconstitutional, and I said that would start another civil war. States do have authority over their public health and they can quarantine. What we're saying in New York now, and also Governor Murphy in New Jersey and Governor Lamont in Connecticut, look, we fought like heck to get our infection rate down. We have the lowest infection rate, Christopher, in the United States of America. We went from the highest infection rate in the country to the lowest transmission rate.
And you don't think that's just time?
Killed themselves to do that.
Because people will say, oh, it's herd immunity. It moved its way through.
It's not time. Yeah, but they'd be wrong. There is no herd immunity. Herd immunity is 50, 60, 70% infection rate. We're nowhere near that. The highest we got was about 22%. No, it's not time. You just let it go. It will continue to increase. That's what you saw in New York in that whole first phase. We shot up to 18,000 cases over 60 days. This thing communicates and transmits like no one's business. No, if you don't get ahead of it, the only one that tried herd immunity was Sweden, and then they said, whoops, that was a mistake.
Yeah, fair point.
No, it's because we got control of it. So we don't want to go backwards. So we have to, one, make sure that we stay diligent and the local governments do the compliance, etc. But two, we don't want people coming here bringing the virus. All you need is one super spreader, New Rochelle, one person infected hundreds. And a lot of people come to New York and the tri-state area from other places. We just want to make sure we don't import the virus, because we learned that lesson, been there, done that, when the federal government failed to tell us that the virus was coming from Europe.
How confident are you that the United States didn't have to be in the position it is of having the most cases, of being so far behind other countries that are frankly not as developed as the United States in terms of public health or resources? How confident are you that we did not have to be in the position we're in right now?
It's not a question of belief. It's not a question of politics, okay? Otherwise you fall into their trap. It's science. It's science. Look at the numbers in New York. How did you go from the highest infection rate in the country to one of the lowest infection rates in the country? How did you do that? On the numbers, mathematically, as a matter of science. You got control of it. We had 2 different messages and 2 different strategies. And you had half the country saying, it's the flu, it's nothing, don't worry about it. Today, stop testing. Testing is the problem. I mean, how ludicrous. People are walking into the hospital. How can you say it's testing? It is denial. It's a failure of leadership. It's all political. The president wants to run on the economy. He thinks this is a problem for the economy. He actually created a problem for the economy because the markets have no confidence that he is in control of this virus. And that's his economic problem now.
Well, and also time is poison. Economically, and the longer this goes, the more people. I mean, I know you know this with your own budget woes in New York State. You're losing revenue. People need help. Time is a devil in this, and certainly we've extended this beyond where we needed to. Let me take a break. When we come back, I want to talk to you about the challenges going forward in terms of this feared second wave, although now, as Dr. Fauci says, we're not done with the first wave, so how are we going to have a second wave? And also the challenges for your state and this country in dealing with this search for equal justice and equal opportunity. What will New York do? Next.
Crazy. 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 But Trump says he want to stop testing. That don't make no sense to stop testing. Trump only want to stop testing to make his numbers look good for this race, for this presidential race. Everybody know that the numbers is going up.
You say this is different than what they wanted to do to New York. Fair point. But the idea of enforcing this quarantine from those 8 states, how do you enforce something like this?
When you land in this, they're basically south and southwestern states. When you land in New York, you come through an airport. We know who you are. We know what flight you took, and we'll do random checks. You can get pulled over by a police officer who could ask you questions. You could go to a meeting and somebody could ask you and then call the Department of Health. So there are a number of ways to enforce it. We're not going, some states brought in the National Guard to do it. We're not going to do anything like that.
So this is going to be a little bit of an honor system, and you're counting on people to do the right thing.
No, it's an honor system, but if you violate it and an inspector calls you or shows up at your address and you're not there, you break the law, you'll have a mandatory quarantine, and you'll pay a several $1,000 civil penalty.
I'm saying it's going to be tough to enforce, but you can only do what you can do. I got you. Another question. California, early on, was very aggressive. They did a lot of the things that you did in New York. Why are they still suffering?
California started with smaller numbers, right? We started with that large spike from Europe. They started with smaller numbers. I don't know exactly why they're seeing the continued increase that they're seeing. In California, slightly different. You have different counties with different strategies. Los Angeles is doing one thing. San Francisco and the surrounding counties are doing something else. They're having different results depending on the strategy. Los Angeles, I think, is driving the numbers right now. New York, we did it differently. We had one strategy. It applied all across the state. The local governments didn't make their own strategies, their own plans. I thought that was confusing. If you have one set of metrics that works, then everybody should live with that set of metrics, and that's what we did in New York.
Tale of two cities going on in this country. You have Trump says, and then you have what reality says very often on several different levels.
Right.
We see this, so I'd like your responses to them. When it comes to Cuomo, the president says, hey, don't give him so much credit. First of all, I did everything that he wanted, and that's why things went well for him in New York. Fair?
No. No, look, the president
Full of it.
First of all, his
He want to take credit somewhere down the line for something.
Posture with COVID, right? He always saw it as an inconvenient intrusion. I saw it as one of the greatest public health threats in modern political history, and I thought we had to take it very seriously and address it head on and stand up and tell the people the truth. And that's exactly what I did every day. I gave them the facts, and then I said, here are the facts. You tell me what you think. Here's my opinion. But I just told the people the truth, and I believe they would do the right thing if they heard the truth, and they did. I think the president's strategy was different. He wanted to minimize. He was going to market. This is not really what it appears to be. And it was distortive. It was not true, and it was counterproductive because denial is not a life strategy. And the virus is going to catch up with you. And it's catching up with 27 states right now. So we had a fundamentally different posture. The president did help New York He said the Army Corps of Engineers to build the Javits Center. Thank you very much. He said 4,000 ventilators. Thank you very much. The Army Corps of Engineers came and helped us build alternative facilities. Thank you very much. So he was assistance.
Yes, please give him his credit for something that he did, Cuomo. Please.
Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Right.
Nursing homes. People died
Thank you for saving somebody's life.
And the operators have been given immunity. What do you have to say about that?
There's several statements that are not correct, but that's okay. It's your show. You say whatever you want to say. The nursing homes were the most tragic situation. You had senior citizens. They were the most vulnerable to this COVID virus. They were in a congregate setting. And we lost lives all across the country in nursing homes. There is no doubt. And we have to figure out how to do it better the next time, because there will be a next time, either a second wave or another disease. And if it is a disease that preys on the old and the weak, it's going to go to the nursing homes and the rehab centers. New York is one of the best cases in the nation for the number of deaths in nursing homes. The New York Times did a report, said we were 35th out of 50 states. We did a report in the state that we're going to issue that says we're 37 out of 50 states. So comparative to the other states, we did well, because it is a national crisis. But it's false hope. We lost a tremendous amount of senior citizens. In this state, about 38% of the deaths were senior citizens. Now, we knew that the vulnerable population was senior citizens. But we still have to find out how to do a better job if this virus comes back in a second wave.
And giving the operators immunity?
The operators have very strict laws in this state, and if they violated the law, they're going to be held fully accountable. We have an ongoing investigation now with the Department of Health and the Attorney General to make sure every operator was following the law during this crisis.
So, in terms of what we need to do going forward, you've made a good case of what works in New York, could work all over the country in terms of masks and calling on communities and being straight, telling them the cases, and not playing with testing and contact tracing is a bad thing. More information is never bad. How do those translate into the other virus that is attacking our country right now, which is division? The idea of systematic racism and systematic inequality for the black community is something you've addressed early on here. Do you believe there is any real chance for change on a national scale?
Oh, yeah. Look, let's make sure we have the formula right, okay? If you want to take COVID and you want to extrapolate to Mr. Floyd's murder, the formula for COVID was tell the people the truth, have a credible source that tells them the truth, or develop credibility and tell them the truth, and then social action. The way we're battling COVID is, here are the facts, I'll give them to you every morning, but then social action. We have to do something. Testing, tracing, stay home, masks, social distancing, hand sanitizer, disinfectant trains. On the Mr. Floyd's murder, you have a galvanized public. In a way, I've never seen it galvanized before, and I say thank God. I said from day one, I stand with the protesters. Why did it take so long? 30 years ago, Rodney King, Amadou Diallo brutalized Eric Garner 6 years ago. I don't know, but it's here now, and it's a precious opportunity if you have the social action. People want change. They don't know how to make it happen, and they don't exactly know what the change is. What we're doing in New York, because I want New York to lead the nation on this, Chris. We have 500 police departments in the state of New York. I sent them all notice. You have 9 months to come up with a plan that reinvents your police department as a collaborative. Local electeds, community activists, everybody sit at the table and reinvent the police department so that there's trust and respect from the community to the police and vice versa. Take this moment, which is beautiful, and this is when change happens, but you need the vehicle to have the actual social action. And that's what we're going to do. Take all these phrases, defund the police, demilitarize the police, escalation, more visibility, more transparency, civilian review. Okay, what does that mean? And let's do it community by community, because the New York City Police Department is no different than the Albany Police Department, and every community has to come up with a police department that it wants, right? The police were not sent down from heaven. They're not in the New Testament. The police department is whatever police department the people want because they pay for it. You know, we have it a little backwards now. Well, the police are this way and that's the way it's going to be. No, it's going to be the way the people want it to be. They are public servants. So sit down, community, and put everyone at the table.
That's the problem with people. People not thinking and talking to each other before they have these rallies and get up on these microphones and start speaking. They need to really be coming up with ideas of what they want their community to be. And that's the problem with people. It's communication and listening. Those two go hand in hand. Without those, y'all can't do nothing.
Because, you know, as you've been telling me my whole life, you know, the policing is a function of high crime. High crime is a function of high poverty. High poverty is a function of low opportunity. So you come back to those types of things, it becomes just as much about class as it does about race in some ways. Of course, you have unique problems within the black community and policing culture. But how do you get the haves on board with the have-nots?
Look, you have a moment here. I say first you need a process. I say in 9 months, every local government with every police department, 500 in New York, sit at the table, give me a plan in 9 months as a collaborative. Or else you get no funding from the state, which is a big or else. So you're going to have to do it. And then I say, don't just give me a plan. You have to pass it into law, which means you have to go past the legislative body in that local government. And with all the energy, Chris, that is now generated, all that community activism, all those protesters, within 9 months that energy is still going to be there. And I want to see a legislature in any local government pass a new plan redesigning their police department if the community activists and that energy isn't part of the process and isn't satisfied. It's not going to happen.
Me having you on the show is an unusual thing. We've never really done it, but this was an unusual time. And there were unusual needs. And you stepped up in an unusual way that really was created by a vacuum of power on the federal level. You're not the only one. There were other governors.